They said no one crossed the old bridge anymore. The wood had softened with rain, the ropes had frayed, and moss had turned the planks the color of memory. But if you came early before the mist had lifted, you might see him there, a lone dog, sitting right in the middle of that narrow crossing, head high, tail still, as if guarding something that no longer needed guarding. He wasn't young. His fur had grayed in uneven patches, and his left ear drooped slightly from an old scar. No collar, no name, just a quiet presence, as constant as the river that sighed beneath him. People in the nearby village called him Bridge Dog. They said he'd been there since the last flood, the one that washed away half the fields and 3 houses. No one knew where he came from. Some said he'd belonged to the fishermen who never made it back. Others swore he'd wandered there after losing his home upriver. But no one could prove it, and no one dared move him from that bridge. Every dawn, he'd walk from one end to the other, slowly, carefully, as if checking that it was still standing. Sometimes he'd stop midway, look down at the water's rippled surface, and bark, once a deep, low sound that carried far. Then he'd lie down, resting his chin on his paws, watching the current slide away like time itself. Children left bits of bread on the railing for him. The grocer left bones near the first post. A fisherman's widow always placed a candle in a glass jar by the entrance of the bridge. Every night, when the wind picked up, the candle flickered, and he'd lie beside it, keeping it from going out. Seasons passed that way. The bridge aged, and so did he. In winter, snow gathered along the ropes like quiet white fur. In spring, rain painted everything silver. In summer, the boards grew warm enough for him to nap upon. He never left. Once, a young man passing through the valley tried to cross. The dog stood, blocking his path. He didn't growl, just looked. The man hesitated, then noticed that one of the planks near the center was cracked clean through. He stepped back. The dog turned, lay down again, and the man understood. He bowed slightly before leaving. From then on, people said he wasn't guarding the bridge. He was guarding the memory of what it connected. On one side, the village. On the other, the field that had been swept away long ago. There was a boy once, small, curious, always carrying a red kite. He'd come sit near the bridge every afternoon, tying bits of string to his kite while talking to the dog as though to a friend. "Do you remember what used to be here?" he asked one day. The dog blinked. The wind answered for him, rattling the rope softly. When the boy released the kite, it soared high, bright red against the gray sky, and the dog's gaze followed it until it was just a dot. That evening, the kite string snapped, and the red cloth disappeared downriver. The boy cried. The dog went to the bridge's edge and barked once, a sound so clear it seemed to echo forever. Next morning, the red kite was caught on a branch downstream. The dog had slept by it all night. When the boy arrived, he wagged his tail. Mission done. Years passed. The boy grew. The bridge aged further, boards missing, ropes thinner. But every time he came home from school, he'd still look toward the bridge, just to see if the dog was there. He always was. Then one winter, the river froze thick. Snow piled high, covering the bridge like a shroud. Days went by without a trace of movement, until one morning, a faint trail of paw prints appeared across the snow, leading from one side of the bridge to the other. At the far end, by the half-buried remains of the old fisherman's shack, the paw prints stopped. There, in the snow, lay a single smooth stone, the kind found only deep in the riverbed, as if the water had given him one final gift. When spring came and the ice melted, the villagers rebuilt the bridge. Stronger, wider, new planks gleaming in the sun. But at its center, they left one space empty. a small gap where the dog used to lie. On a metal plate nailed to the railing, they engraved, "He kept watch until the river forgot." Now, every summer, when the wind moves just right through the valley, you can still hear a faint bark carried across the water. Not sad, not haunting, just steady, like a promise kept. And sometimes, if you cross the bridge at dawn, you'll see a small shape sitting halfway, tail curled, head lifted to the breeze. They say it's just the fog playing tricks on your eyes. But if you listen closely, you'll hear the wind brushing the ropes like fingers over old strings, and you'll know he's still there, guarding not the bridge itself, but everything that once crossed it.